My heart is so cold, my energy is contagious. All the pain, I can't take it. I'm staying grounded and graceful, cause I know everything that I've been through only made me count my blessings daily. Yeah, they've been acting shady, but I don't take it personal. The memory's fading, I'm enjoying the moment. I've been smelling the roses, taking time to reflect, stepping back, the truth unfolding, unfolding. Got nothing to prove, cause I'm about to blow. I've been in the booth, speaking to my soul. You know that I'm true, either way it goes. Either way it goes, I cannot turn cold, staying on the low. I've been protecting my soul. If your intentions are not pure, I can't let you get too close, cause I'm vibrating high. Ain't got time for your ego, these niggas quit to turn me back. Acting like the amigos, they never cared in the shows. Wasn't with you at your lows, assuming that you gonna fold. But baby, I've been growing ever since I let you go. And I've been doing better, and I know that hurts to know. Hurts to know. Only good vibes around me, and that's for sure. Only good vibes, good vibes, good vibes, good vibes. Only need good vibes, good vibes, good vibes, good vibes. Only need good vibes. Can't lie. Only need good vibes, good vibes, good vibes, good vibes. You see me searching for my inner peace. I've been learning more about myself and my purpose. Truth always come to the surface. Was hurting, but I had to heal. Releasing all the pain that I always held. Been going through some changes, I'll make it still. Protecting my soul to keep it real. Only need good vibes, good vibes, good vibes, good vibes. Only need good vibes, good vibes, good vibes, good vibes. Only need good vibes. Can't lie. Only need good vibes, good vibes, good vibes, good vibes.
Okay, welcome in everyone. Let me know if you hear me, please. Let's do a sound check. Do a sound check and I will say hello to everyone in the house tonight. All right, let's say hello to Carol first. Look at her there. Got y'all coffee, whiskey, smoke ready. Yeah, well, whatever's your deal. All right. I see why. I see. Good evening, Prof Mods in chat. All right. Hey, Bonnie. Bonnie says hello. Royal Wee says what's up. K West says hey ho, let's go. Phoenix, what up, chat? What up, Phoenix? All right. Sandy D. Hey, what's up, Sandy? Good evening to you. All right. Nancy. Hello, everyone. All right. Hey, look, Noe's in the house. What up, Noe? All right. And Nancy Drew. Look at Nancy Drew 101. What's up, Nancy Drew? Hi, chat improv. Hope you are all having a beautiful Friday evening. Yes. All right. All right. Sandy. Oh, K West says great little session earlier. Thank you. Yeah, you like the piano, the old New Orleans piano? All right. It's my favorite piano. All right. Sandy D. What up, Sandy? Have you added the guy from Blackish University YouTube channel about him having worked on his old Suburban by who he thought to be rich guy? He mentions white supremacy and the guy with him being deaf. No, that's a mouthful, Sandy. Goddamn. He's like, that's a mouthful. But that's some more weird shit. Hey, send me an email, Sandy, please. I'm not feeling too well tonight, so I probably won't remember a damn thing you just said. Rick says, hey ho, let's go, the Ramones. All right. Hey there, Amy, says Nancy Drew. All right. Well, you girls, hey, look, email it to me and I'll give you my opinion. I'm not feeling great at all. No one cares about the prof, though. No one cares what I've been going through physically and otherwise. But yes, see, today's Friday. Yesterday I had another trip to the doctors. I have one Monday as well. So, all right. But yeah, what's up, y'all? Oh, I tell you what, the Crazies. What did I call this? Friday night laugh at the Crazies. The douchebag edition. So we will be addressing a particular douchebag, but overall, it's laugh at the Crazies, and I'm just sorry. I feel like crap. I know I'm not very inspiring, but the Crazies have been. I mean, they've been letting loose. The Crazies been letting their hair down, and they're all over. They're all over, and I don't know. No matter how much I expose it, they just keep on being crazy. So what am I to do? All right. Seem deflated. I'm not deflated. I'm sick and I'm headachy. That's what's up. But yeah, so the crazies have been out wandering these streets, committing crimes as usual. And yeah, the goal is to laugh at them. Maybe once I get this coffee kicks in, it might make me feel a little better. Just one moment, please. Okay, so yeah, where's Frenchie? Frenchie would have loved the good vibes. Oh yeah, so the crazies have been out and about. And man, they just the level to which they're willing to go low knows no bounds. Um, but it is interesting. It is interesting. So calling me a child molester, that's very interesting. And alleging that I molest my little prof in here, who's my best buddy in the whole world. And going back over, going back to my dead brother and calling him a chomo. Yeah, that's nice. And calling my whole family molesters. That's nice. And yeah, you guys are just champs. I tell you, I mean, for a bunch of stalkers, alcoholics, uh, killers, and wife beaters, you guys are real fucking heroes. All of this over discussion of the deaths of two baby girls. Yeah, you guys are really something else. Really something else. Some champs in these YouTube streets. I'll tell you what, never seen anything like it. I mean, they said the internet was wacky. Well, the internet is full of crazies. And the thing is, Indiana has a particularly high demographic of crazy stalker psychos. I attribute it to mostly the inbreeding and incest, but I don't really know. Maybe the poor education and the white supremacy. I don't know. But they definitely like to project a lot, which is maybe why they call everyone child molesters. And, you know, child molesting is, I guess, how you get inbreeding and incest. So, being that Indiana is rife with the problem, it's understandable that 90% of the crazies on the internet from Indiana would constantly be saying child molesting and all of that. But it's not my fault that repressed homosexuals and incels often act this way. Um, I would prefer that you just go ahead and come out and be a gay man. There's nothing wrong with that. Actually, it's funny because people will often throw around the term homophobe. You know, some of your favorite creators do that often, but that's also projection because they are the homophobes, and the reason they're homophobes is because they're afraid of their own homosexuality, and so they tend to repress and stay closeted homosexuals, and then take their rage out and shame on everyone else and project. So it's pretty disgusting and sad, and so yeah, between the lack of education, as Phoenix says here, and the incest and inbreeding, we've got a bunch of hero fucking crazies on the internet coming out of Indiana. So you know, it is what it is. Um, but yeah, it's I guess getting back to the real sadness in the victimizing of others because you've been victimized and you are ashamed to be who you are. All right. So I've been trying to open this paper because I wanted to read it to you. We'll see if I can manage. I'm not feeling well, as I said. All right, let's see what we got here. Maybe if I go on over. I'm like in slow motion. I'm sorry. I might as well be a drunk like they are because that's about the speed I'm operating on tonight. Is drunk off my ass speed. But thankfully, I'm not because I don't drink. But you guys are something. Okay. See if this works out for Daddy. I may just have to pull it up on the screen if I can't get it on this little iPad here. All right. Hey, welcome in everyone who's coming in. Let's see. I think it's going to get worse before the truth is finally revealed. All of the systems that govern this realm are breaking down. True. Very true. Very true, Sandy. But they call us conspiracy theorists. It's the culture in Indiana. I've been here 25 years and I've seen it all. Welcome, Bill. And welcome, Foxy Lady. All right. And who else came in? Freckle Joy, welcome in. Living in his mom's basement with dads, with puppies on his walls, making prank calls with a pathetic little man. Yeah. Okay, so Zero Cool coming in. Good evening, sir. Good evening, Zero Cool. Okay. Aaron says, my son isn't going to sleep tonight, so I can't watch the chat at the moment, but I'll be listening. See you in a little bit. All right. Well, thanks, Aaron. Thanks. Okay, let me get back to what I was going to try to do here. Please, everything hurts. Okay. All right, sweet. So this article is not pulling up, unfortunately. Oh, what did I do wrong? Okay. Okay. AI Armageddon is around the corner, according to some in the field, so that may be no exaggeration. Well, we know one thing. They do not want an election. Okay, so what is wrong with the server? There must be a server problem here. So maybe I have to do it here. Just a moment. Let's see. Okay. I have to do some typing. Here we go. Here we go, typing. Okay. Well, this is weird. It's a so it's a server problem on their end, and too bad I didn't save it. Well, I'll have to read it like this, the difficult way. Um, oh, but I only have the first page. Okay, how about this? Okay. There we go. Now we're in business. Okay. All right, so one moment. That took a little bit, but I just had to download it separately. Yeah, good point, Phoenix. We covered this before. AI doesn't exist, but machine learning does, and it's not necessarily intelligence. People have lost their ability to use their brains to be able to discern what is happening right in front of them. All right. Let me just get this for you guys. I apologize. I feel like dirt. Okay. Hey. Sorry guys, we're about to get heavy here. Just let's do it. Okay, monsters in the closet, the affective spaces of not coming out as a violent man. All right, so let's review a little bit. Promise is not as bad as it sounds. From its origins in the gay community, coming out has become a narrative genre describing the experiences of recognizing and disclosing a variety of other stigmatized positions, including that of male perpetrators of intimate partner violence. Drawing on interviews with 44 partner violent men in Sweden. Oh, by the way, this is Stockholm University. This paper explores how closets and outcomes are both discursively and spatially produced. It analyzes the affective spaces of men's coming out stories. Particularly how and where they disclose their violence, and how friends and others respond to their abuse. Violent men's coming out stories have similarities with those of other stigmatized groups, since they experience their violence as shameful. They find it difficult to share their experiences with others and are careful not to be seen when seeking therapeutic help. At times, rumors about their violence circulate in their workplaces and cities, which affects the men's feelings and movement in urban space. Their narratives have some unique aspects. While disclosing their violence, the men distance themselves from being categorized as violent men, and their coming out stories are not narratives of embracing a fixed identity. In addition, their narratives obscure their abuse and oppression of their victims. Okay. All right, let's turn the page. This paper explores the affective and spatial dimensions of abusive men's disclosures and responses from family, friends, and others, drawing on a study of men's narratives about their intimate partner violence in Sweden. The interviewed men repeatedly talked about how they were ashamed of their abusive behavior and the challenges of disclosure. Much to my surprise, the men at times evoked closeted experiences. Some compared themselves with alcoholics, publicly acknowledging their addiction, and others referred to their disclosure in terms of coming out. As 42-year-old Urban put it, it's almost like saying you're sort of gay, all the shame, It's sort of like coming out. Perhaps I should not have been so surprised that these heterosexual men, who in some respects may be described as being at the forefront of patriarchy, compared themselves with gay men. From its origins in the gay community, coming out has become a narrative genre describing the experiences of recognizing and disclosing a plethora of other stigmatized positions. One can, for instance, come out as an alcoholic, autistic, and disabled, to name a few. These groups have lifestyles, personal characteristics, or experiences that are subject to social disapproval, and consequently have been closeted. For members of such groups, coming out is not only an exit from a stigmatized position, but also a confirmation of an identity and an entrance to a new empowering community. In the academic literature, coming out tends to be a shorthand for social processes. In this paper, I instead want to highlight how closets and outcomes may be both discursively and spatially produced. Coming out is not simply an issue of publicly communicating about your violence, but also a matter of where you come out. You may come out in certain places, such as domestic violence perpetrator programs, while remaining closeted in others, for example, the workplace. This could be seen as an expression of time-space compartmentalization in contemporary Western societies, where boundaries between different parts of life enable secrecy of what is seen as problematic behavior. Outcomes and closeted experiences, I argue, affect violent men's encounters with other bodies, both in terms of how they move in space and what they feel. Spaces of coming out may be characterized by shame, as Urban's account above suggests, but they could be filled with fear, anger, and frustration as well. In this paper, I also argue that while there are similarities with other coming out stories, considerable differences exist as the men refuse to embrace an identity as violent men, and instead attempt to weakening the link between their behavior and character. Their coming out stories, moreover, portray them as victims of rumors, which obscures the experiences of their victims. This paper contributes to geographies of violence against women, which during the last few decades have demonstrated how men's abuse and intimate relationships create spatial entrapment, and that women's fear of assault and harassment from strangers inhibits their movement in public space and enables men to present themselves as chivalrous protectors of women. Even though the gendered spatialities of violence against women have been studied, little attention has been paid to male perpetrators' relation to space, which is somewhat surprising considering that masculinity is a common topic within contemporary human geography. In this way, this paper also contributes to critical geographies of masculinities by exploring the affective and spatial dimensions of partner violent men's closets and outcomes. While partner abuse is often a domestic affair, I argue that it is tied to spaces beyond the home, as violent men's wider affective relationships with men and women are carried out in different locations. Inquiring into these different spaces and relationships is crucial for a deepened understanding of the relation between masculinity and violence. Coming out stories have typically reported an unhappy childhood, where the source of tribulations is a strong sense of being different. Then the story has a turning point where problems appear to lead to a discovery of being queer. With this, the individual's problems seem to abound. They lead a life of secrecy, with fear of being discovered and a sense of guilt or shame. These problems are then resolved typically through meeting other gay individuals in a community where a new sense of identity is achieved. With this, the individual has the courage to come out to family and other friends. Central to the genre is the difference between coming out to oneself, defined as an internal process where one's sexual desire is recognized, and to others, an external communicative act where the individual publicly confirms a sexual orientation. Disclosure can be made through spoken or written language, as well as through non-linguistic semiotic means like other communicative processes. Coming out is relational. Saying that one, quote, is gay may have certain effects on the thoughts, feelings, and actions of the audience receiving the message, but the statement is also dependent upon the audience, which may obscure or ignore the disclosure. The similarities between gay coming out stories and those of other stigmatized groups are often highlighted, and the concept has been used to explore a number of different experiences. Analogies may, however, obscure differences between and within groups, for instance, within the gay community. While using the same narrative genre, coming out as transgender differs from coming out as homosexual. Okay. Among gay and lesbians, coming out tends to be understood as a lifelong process, whereas the transgender coming out, at least for those who have transitioned and those whose gender identity matches with how they are perceived by others, is rather characterized by revealing a previous gender position. When applying the concept to other groups, other difficulties appear. In the gay community, coming out stories are often a quest for living a true life, embracing an identity, and turning shame into pride. For other groups, such as alcoholics, disclosure is instead part of an apology and a step on the way to recovery and leaving a destructive behavior behind. Further, while gay individuals confirm their sexual orientation or gender by coming out, declaring that one is an alcoholic at the beginning of the Alcoholics Anonymous narrative does not mean that one drinks, but rather has the disease of alcoholism and therefore no longer consumes alcohol. In addition, alcoholics have typically not suffered from an external structure of oppression, such as homophobia or heteronormativity. Another problem with the concept is that coming out is not as straightforward as typically presented. Gay individuals may be out and in simultaneously. They may disclose to some family members while remaining closeted to others. Coming out stories could therefore be seen as a normative framework that obscures sexual fluidity, where sexual practices and identities are fused, and where the individual, according to the script, needs to choose between being straight or being gay in order to assume a, quote, true self and a healthy sexuality. A further issue with coming out is that it is often used as a simple shorthand which privileges the discursive above the material. In order to fully understand closeted experiences, geographers have argued that it is crucial to explore the spaces of coming out, such as queer migration processes, relations in the home, when coming out, and how closets are spatially produced. Lewis in 2013, for instance, has shown how gay people migrate from rural areas to the city in order to gain anonymity and not burden their families. However, he has also demonstrated that places do not encompass simple definition, and that binary between homophobic rural communities and liberal metropolitan areas is far from stable. Following Brown, I explored both discursive and spatial aspects of coming out. In his analysis of the closet as a metaphor in space, he points out that the relationship between the discursive and the material is arbitrary and unstable. Life can be like a closet in certain respects, and in others not at all. The difference between discourse and materiality is not obvious. Rather, metaphors, signs, and language are entangled within the spatial. For instance, Queer places can be seen spatially close heteronormative places, such as stripped clubs, while remaining unseen to outsiders. Since to recognize a place as queer, one needs to be able to encode the semiotic space as its banal sext signs. Similarly, stigmatized bodies may be coded as strange or deviant through different visual markers. Okay. In contrast, individuals with what Goffman termed discreditable stigmas, which are characterized by the blemishes on the individual character, may pass as non-deviant since their experiences are not immediately recognized by others, but are instead identified through knowledge of the person's record of experience or behaviors. Exploring the spatialities of coming out opens up a further theorizing of the affective experiences of the closet. The relation between space and affect has been increasingly discussed within critical geography. Within this tradition and following Deleuze's work on Spinoza, affect tends to be given two primary meanings. First, it refers to specific emotions and affective states characteristic of everyday life, including anger, shame, hope, and fear. And second, affect is seen as something broader than emotions, as a particular manifestation of a body's power of acting. It is lived force, or the action potential of the bodies, its unique capacity to affect and to be affected by the bodies and things that it encounters. Emotions, it is argued, are only expressing a small part of our entire registers of embodied experience. When we feel a certain emotion, all other experiences are virtually co-present as potentialities. At the same time, affect and bodily capacities are not outside culture, but are always already mediated by their history. Affect and emotions are therefore difficult to separate in practice. Geographical work on affect emphasizes the affective aspects of spatial processes and thus extends Brown's discussion about the materiality of the closet. Affects are seen as experienced in bodies, but emerging from diversive encounters between bodies, which may be human and non-human materialities of various kinds, as well as the capacities that spatial encounters between bodies enables. For instance, disclosures and coming out stories may impact upon the audience's feelings and actions. Or as Cameron puts it, stories do not simply represent, they affect, they move. But when individuals reveal discreditable aspects of themselves or attempt to keep them secret, it is not only the audience that is potentially affected, but the audience may also affect the individual coming out. People may choose to stay closeted due to fear of the expected negative responses from others. In closets and outcomes, there is thus an affective relation between bodies where previous experience gathered in the body as habits, traumas, and desires are virtually present as potentialities and may be prompted in new encounters. Okay. Method. This paper draws on interviews conducted between 2009 and 2012 with men about their experiences of their IPV. I have used a purposive sample of 44 heterosexual men who participated in domestic violence perpetrator programs, 5 different locations in Sweden. To be eligible for participation in the study, the men had to be in treatment and had to have been physically violent towards a female partner on at least one occasion. Program participation was voluntary, that is, the men had not been sentenced to treatment, but had started on their own initiative or at the request of others. Nonetheless, almost a third of the men reported that they had previously been convicted of or charged with assault and battery. All of the men said that they had been emotionally abusive and had used moderate physical violence, shoving, slapping, grabbing hard, etc. About 1/3 had also used severe physical violence, strangling, kicking, punching, using a weapon, etc. The majority had been physically violent on 5 or more occasions. The participants were between the age 17 and 66. The average age was 36, and most men, 75%, were between 25 and 45. About one-third of all the participants had an undergraduate degree, two-thirds had an upper secondary diploma, while 4 men had only a compulsory school education. About three-quarters of the men were from the ethnic Swedish majority. Some were born in Sweden to at least one foreign-born parent, and just 3 men were foreign-born. The study was inspired by narrative analysis. To start with, this means that I conducted narrative interviews where the researcher's role is to facilitate and enable the informant's storytelling by asking questions about, for instance, why he started in therapy, whether he can give examples of when he has been physically violent, whom he has told about the violence, and whether he can give instances of when he has disclosed his violence. It should be noted that this is a relatively specific group of violent men, as they were in treatment more or less voluntarily and had talked about their abuse with the therapist for some time. I think that this made them willing to talk openly about their experiences and, to a large extent, acknowledge their responsibility for their abuse. They also seem to be more communicative than violent men in previous research. I can only speculate about how their coming out processes differ from those of abusive men not in treatment, but since the interviewed men have sought professional help, they may also be more prone to seek social and emotional support from friends and families. Nevertheless, as I detail below, they are still cautious communicating about their violence with others in their informal networks. Interviewing these men was, to put it mildly, an effective affair. As I've discussed elsewhere, encountering violent men was challenging and ambivalent. I often enjoyed talking with the men and emphasized, with their difficult life circumstances. But learning about the details of their abuse was distressing, and I was upset when they first took responsibility for their violence and then minimized it. Dealing with this ambivalence, I would argue, is central to much critical masculinity studies, as it explores men's ambivalent gendered relations, where they could be vulnerable and dominating at the same time. I also interviewed 5 therapists from the treatment centers in order to get their perspectives on working with partner violent men. These interviews lasted between 1 and 2 hours and were conducted at various treatment centers. Sampling continued until the point of data saturation, that is, until no new information emerged. For the sake of anonymity, all names have been changed. The interviews were transcribed and encoded thematically, focusing on the content of those accounts, which enabled an overview of the data. I conducted a thematic narrative analysis, which means focusing on the content of the stories, as well as an analysis of the men's narrative practices. That is, how and what versions of their violence they have communicated to others. The cases presented are representable of the data as they illustrate 3 themes: the stories of seeking and starting treatment, stories about the rumors spreading about their violence, and the men's ambivalent relation to their own behavior and the violent men category. Okay, the gate of shame. The interviewed men repeatedly pointed out that they see violence against women as morally reprehensible, and they, therefore, would respond negatively if they learned that somebody they knew had been violent toward his partner. They assumed that others would condemn their violence as well, and were, as a consequence, cautious about telling others about it. The carefulness also had spatial dimensions, as in 43-year-old Thomas's narrative about starting treatment. Lucas, what was it kind of like to start going here? Thomas, the first time I thought there would be a bunch of aggressive criminals coming here, the first time I walked in here. I looked around, making sure no one in the street saw me when I went inside. It was almost shameful coming here. But how do you view this as shameful? In which way? Well, you get the label. Yeah, there's a violent man going in through the door who needs help. The treatment centers are located relatively central in the city, sometimes in the proximity of other social or health services, other times in regular office buildings. The doors have few visual signs that help outsiders to work out that they are about the entrance of a treatment center. If there is a sign, the name is often somewhat obscure, such as Crisis Center for Men. Such vague names refer to the broader scope of some centers, i.e., not only violence but also crisis in general. But it is also an attempt to lower the threshold for men to seek batterer treatment. Despite this, Thomas is afraid of being seen near the center, as he believes he will, when entering, be recognized as what he and other men in the study called a violent man or woman beater. Risking being seen as a deviant affects his feelings, his movement in space, and his relation to other bodies. In the narrative, oh, sorry. Okay. In the narrative, he distances himself from shameful bodies, the bunch of aggressive criminals who he expects to attend the program. He is also wary of other bodies, but he looks around the street to make sure no one sees him enter. We can understand Thomas's narrative using Althusser's famous example of interpolation, where a policeman hails a person on the street. Following Munt, I would argue that there are affective elements in Althusser's interpolation model. When a person is hailed by the policeman's, "Hey, you there," there's not only a discursive relation, but the scene is also filled with affect. In order for the person to turn around when addressed, there already has to be a sense of being obliged to heed the call. The turn to power is thus affective and sensorial, where the individual is not only interpolated, but also experiences themselves as a subject that should be addressed. Here we can see such an interpolation played out, not through a policeman's hailing, but through the assumed eyes that could see Thomas and define him as a morally reprehensible subject. In the scene, there are numerous affective possibilities. He could, for instance, walk straight and proudly through the door, or declare to everyone around where he is headed. He does neither, but is vigilant as he walks around the city. If Thomas had not felt he needed to be on his guard when entering the door, he would have not experienced being the subject he becomes the very moment he looks around. His embarrassment and cautious movement by the door are thus an affective response to the norms of violence and masculinity. It was not only questionable whether outsiders would happen to see the men close to the treatment center, but once inside, they faced new challenges. For instance, Johann, 26 years of age, thought it was difficult to open up to the therapist. Lucas, what do you mean when the first thought was that it was difficult? Johann, that other people sort of, and it's difficult, even if it's sort of, this is in the end, nobody runs around talking about it, but it's still difficult. Lucas, opening up to others, you mean? Yes. Even though Johann started treatment voluntarily and his coming out was only partial, it was challenging for him to disclose such a sensitive issue to others. Note that he points out that this is the end. It is somewhat unclear what he implies, but I interpret it as referring to the treatment center being the final destination, or to his having hit rock bottom, and that it cannot get any worse than admitting your abuse to others. It was also challenging to start group therapy where a handful of men discuss their violence and aggression issues together with two counselors. According to the therapists who were interviewed, this was because the men are forced to identify with violent men. Just a moment. Okay. Therapist 2 says, yes, the first few times when you're new in the group, you're obviously nervous. And you often think that the other men are real hooligans. And you think that you've come to a group full of violent men, and you don't see yourself as one. The therapist also confirmed the men's experiences of the violence as shameful and the challenges of starting treatment. It's shameful, since everybody knows, everybody knows it's not okay. You're not a good person if you cross the line, and society and everybody think that. And even old working class blokes with outmoded attitudes have some sort of code that you don't hit someone who's smaller, the ones that are weak. And so it's obvious that our door is called the gate of shame because of that. And if you know that it's not okay, you are ashamed of yourself. You could say self-loathing. According to Brown, the doorway could be seen as a liminal space between the closet and the place outside. Similarly, the gate of shame and walking through the door to the treatment center could be seen as a materialization of the closet doorway. There is a movement between the two spaces, between the street and the center, that is not simply discursive. It is not only about disclosing or not disclosing your violence, but the disclosure is also spatially produced. The gate of shame is thus a border between being inside and outside of the closet. As Anderson has pointed out, places are not inheritably characterized by specific atmospheres. Rather, they have affective possibilities. A place is not shameful in itself, but the tone and quality of a place can alter, for instance, depending on its materiality and the bodies passing through. The doorway referred to as the gate of shame is, in other words, made shameful through the expected and actual responses to the men's violence and should be seen as an assemblage produced by different human bodies, non-human bodies, and the cultural norms of violence and masculinity. Further, the very naming of the doorway defines the place as deviant and the proper feelings when entering the treatment center. It helps eclipsing affective possibilities, as if shame always already envelops the entrance. The imagined encounters with other bodies affect how men move in space. They look around, careful not to be seen, since being spotted in this place, with its particular semiotic meaning, makes it difficult for them to continue to pass as normal, non-violent men. Okay. The men's fear of how others perceive them is not only apparent when they start treatment, it is also visible in their narratives about how they have been outed. As mentioned, the men in this study communicated about their abusive behavior with at least someone in their social network, but when doing so, they seldom detailed the violent events. The risk of communicating about the abuse was that rumors about their behavior could spread among their families and friends, and in their neighborhoods and workplaces. Rumors could also spread by local news, or when the abuse became a matter for legal authorities or social services. While coming to the treatment center seems to be primarily related to experiencing shame, narratives about rumors being outed rather evoke fear, anger, and frustration. The rumors about 31-year-old Igmar's violence, particularly against his son, spread in a small town, which he calls the rumor capital. When asked what rumors were about, he replies rhetorically, "What sort of bullshit hasn't come from here?" He goes on to say, "It was everything from how it happened to what I'd done, and anything from I'd beat him until he bled. I heard so many things." Calling his hometown the rumor capital depicts it as a place where it is impossible to keep a secret, such as domestic violence, behind closed doors, and where the news of his abuse has spread far beyond the privacy of his home. Other men in the study had similar experiences and argued that different stories about their violence existed. One about what really happened and a number of false versions that flourished. When Johann confided in his closet friend about his experience, a series of rumors started. His friend talked about the abuse with another friend, and soon most of Johann's friends knew about it. The worst thing when these rumors start is that they often escalate a bit all the time, and then suddenly you really beat the hell out of her, And I know that in reality, it wasn't like that, says Johann. Johann argues that he is the only one who knows the truth about his abuse. In the interview, he admits that he has shoved her and thrown things at her. He, however, has issues with others learning about this, since he thinks that the facts get distorted and blown out of proportion when they start to circulate. He argues that his girlfriend's role is omitted and that his violence was due to certain circumstances, such as that his antidepressants make him cold and aggressive. 23-year-old Emil argues that his girlfriend is the source of the rumors, and he differentiates between his own and her version of his violence. He willingly admits that he has been aggressive and grabbed her violently several times, but he would not call his actions assault or battery. When he told his friend about the violence, he felt, quote, very naked, and you feel very stupid and feel some sort of shame and anxiety, close quotation. In contrast, he expresses frustration when talking about the rumors. There are two things a woman or girl in our society could say that no one questions, but everyone has a fucking clear idea about what happened. One is if she cries rape, and the other if she cries assault. People won't ask any questions, but a big lynch mob forms because everybody already knows what happened, and because of that, I find it really hard that Anna can't see the delicacy of all this, but she's open and talks with everyone. She says it's battery. And she could do that, of course, if that's what she thinks and feels. But I get into big trouble because people seriously think that I've assaulted her, beating her several times, all black and blue, and that perhaps there's a police report and everything. So that really bothers me. He sees himself as a victim of the rumors, he argues, his girlfriend is spreading. It makes me really angry and frustrated, of course, particularly when you hear that, oh, well, now she's told my boss. She can't see it's a delicate matter. She can't see that the situation can make me a helpless victim as well, but she only sees herself as a battered victim. And with time, the assault gets worse in her eyes, or becomes. So I obviously really it feels like she doesn't show me any respect. According to Goffman, people with discreditable stigmas could easily pass as non-deviant, since the problematic behavior is not easily recognized. Since it is difficult to visually identify an abusive man, as he does not have a visible stigma, information about his behavior is decisive. If people learn that Emil has beaten his girlfriend black and blue all over, he will no longer easily pass as nonviolent, but instead will represent the deviant category of violent men, something that may cause him, quote, big trouble. His main problem is that rumors are spreading in the local martial arts club where both he and his girlfriend are active. According to him, if people believe in her version, he will have difficulties continuing as an instructor since they have a nonviolence policy. Martial arts clubs often have strict rules about which forms of contact are acceptable and against whom, and where that is. Only places where surveillance of rule following is secured. Violence thus becomes a matter of being practiced in the proper place, the gym. But when carried out in the wrong places, such as the street or the home, it is condemned, and the consequence may be that he is not welcome to the gym anymore. Emil discredits his girlfriend's story by portraying it as exaggerated, false, and constantly changing, which enables him to present himself as a hapless victim and argue that his girlfriend is disrespectful. Enacting victimhood also helps him to demonstrate comprehensible feelings. The proper response to her public slander is being angry and frustrated. Rumors affect how people respond as well as the men's relationships and movements in their cities, neighborhoods, workplaces, and schools. According to some men, learning of their violence made friends and colleagues turn against them. 17-year-old Oscar assaulted his girlfriend at school, which made other pupils look at me strangely, said Oscar. They think that I battered Lisa, that it was worse than it was, but they just believe a lot of crap. When asked how he experienced these responses, he recounts a party where some guys threatened him. Oscar: we were at this party, and some guys from the village where she lives came, and they came up to me and started arguing and said that I assaulted Lisa several times, and they sort of wanted to kill me because I'd done it. Then I said that that's not what happened. It was just a slap. And they said no, so I don't know. It's hard when they come up like that. You don't know what to say because they don't really believe you. So they threatened to beat you? Yeah, because I assaulted her. But I don't think I've done it. I just wanted to show that enough is enough. But the others think it's assault. Oscar's narrative highlights how other people's getting wind of the violence not only affects the men's perceptions of what other thinks of them, but also their encounters with other bodies and what these bodies are able to do. Arguing that he had assaulted his girlfriend, some young men presented themselves as chivalrous protectors of women, threatening him, and at least this particular party inhibiting his movement. In the narrative, Oscar distances himself from what he sees as the other boys' false accusations that he's assaulted his girlfriend. Instead, he argues that it has not been assault and that his violence was a proper response to her cheating on him. Rumors may be crucial to how affective space is produced. It affects men's feelings. They may experience shame, fear, anger, and frustration, as well as their movement in urban space. While being outed primarily caused fear and frustration for Emil and Oscar, 31-year-old Lars experienced shame and embarrassment when his violence became local news. He argues, quote, "I have difficulty going outside now. I think it's damn embarrassing. You're seen as a woman beater, and that's the worst thing you could be." Similarly, 43-year-old Jimmy narrates how his abuse became local news, and as the rumors about his abuse spread in his hometown and on the internet, he was finally forced to leave town and hide in his summer house. While experiencing different affective states, all these men's movements became restricted as a consequence of others' real and assumed responses. Just like when the men start treatment, they do not want to be seen as violent men or outed as woman batterers, since, as Emil puts it, they risk having a lynch mob after them. Even though he is ashamed of what he has done, he argues, "I'd rather lay bare everything so others learn the true picture, my picture, rather than trust rumors." Violent Men Anonymous. Considering the embarrassment as their violence and the rumors spreading about their behavior and how it affects their spatial encounters with others, it is perhaps not surprising that men in this study are rather reluctant to disclose their violence. Yet, they feel an urge to talk about their experiences in order to get support and help from friends. The therapists that I interviewed also encouraged them to seek emotional support and develop disclosive relationships with others, as they believe this will help the men deal with their aggression issues. The men have therefore told at least someone they know. While the men seem to be more communicative than violent men in previous research, the quality of their disclosures can be discussed. They seldom detail what has happened. Rather, they say that they have been threatening or aggressive and emphasize that they are in a crisis or depressed or that their partners have left them. Only a handful of men have completely disclosed their abuse. Some of these men have told their entire workplace. Others have told more or less all their friends and family in relative detail. 27-year-old Antone, who is one of the few, told his entire workplace immediately after he was released from custody for assaulting his girlfriend. Since he had been absent from work for several days, rumors had started to spread. He learned from his boss. He argues that he was honest about his assault, but that he was afraid of how his colleagues would respond. Some were condemning, but most have been supportive because, as he argues, he dared to speak sincerely about what he had done, and also because he has dealt with his issues by seeking treatment. This suggests that the person coming out is not only judged by the content, but also by the way he discloses the information and what actions he is undertaking to address the issues. It also illustrates that while going to treatment is often difficult, it may be used as a way to present oneself as intelligible and manage assumed negative reactions from others. Daniel, 45 years of age, argues that he has been pretty open about it and told most of his friends. He has also anonymously been interviewed in newspapers and on the radio, and he has thought about lecturing on men's violence. Quote, "I thought a lot about starting to work on it and lecturing because I think that one should deal with all men. Not all, you can't reach all, but men who batter, because there's so many victims. I was thinking that I should damn well lecture about it. And then it wouldn't have come out anyway that I've beaten women. And I'm sorry, then it would have come out anyway that I've beaten women. It wasn't anything I've kept quiet about. I thought much about how society judges the many batterers really hard on woman batterers. And I thought that I compared with 25 years ago, it wasn't okay to go to the shrink, but today it's all right. They even encourage you to have a therapist. It's good for everyone. And then I guess I thought that this needs to get to the same status. You simply need to come out in order to make it okay to get help. Somebody has to start. It could be me. In this interview, Daniel also says that for a long time he did not acknowledge his own violence or talk about it with others, but how after his separation, he realized he needed help with his abusive behavior, and therefore sought professional help and support from his friends. His argument for coming out to others, apart from his closet friends, is to reach out to abusive men and in that way help the victims of violence. He points out that society often judges violent men and compares with what he considers another stigmatized experience, namely seeking psychological help in general. He was willing to open up in order to make it easier for violent men to seek help. While his aim is to help violence victims, his analogy between partner abuse and psychological problems simultaneously obscures that IPV is a criminal offense and a way to dominate women in intimate relations. He still ponders whether he should go public, but has not done it since he thinks that he is not ready yet. He adds that nowadays he is less candid about his abusive past and is careful not to mention it to everybody, since he does not want to constantly come out and reveal himself. After repeatedly listening to the men alluding to the outcomes of stigmatized groups, I asked the therapist whether they saw similarities between their clients' experiences and those of, for instance, recovering alcoholics. They were reluctant to make such comparisons. I think there's a big, bloody big difference between the two because it assumes that you're ill. I'm an alcoholic. Either I'm a sober alcoholic or I'm an active alcoholic. We used the term violent men for many years and stopped doing so about 6 or 7 years ago, arguing that you're not a violent man. You're a man using violence. So I think that if you're going to have similar violent men anonymous, it would imply that you're not currently active, but always violent. So to say, that wouldn't be good, I think. I rather think that you shouldn't. You could have networks for different things, but I don't think so for addicts, since it would emphasize the inner experience that, yeah, I'm still violent. It's just that I am coping right now. It's just a matter of time. I'll do it again. The therapist's distinction between a violent man and a man using violence is ontologically important, as the former refers to a pathological character defined by his behavior, and the latter weakens this relation. The therapists do not want the men to embrace an identity as violent men, but as normal men who in certain circumstances have resorted to violence. The therapists make this distinction to help the men move away from violence, since they believe embracing a violent identity will make it harder for them to desist. But this corresponds to the men's distancing from the monstrous woman batterer figure, and therefore supports their reluctance to acknowledge their patterns of violence and control, and hence not being proper violent men. It is therefore questionable whether men like Daniel could be seen as violent men, but rather, following Deleuze and Guattari, are becoming violent men. Becoming is the movement between different subjects. In this case, the movement between being a normal man who has used violence and a pathologically violent man who will explode any time. According to Ahmed, there's always a certain degree of fantasy in becoming, a desire of being the other, and it is highlighted in the proximity of the other. In Ahmed's work, the fantasy is projected towards a positively charged identity, as in her analysis of the Kevin Costner character John Dunbar in the 1990 blockbuster film Dancing with Wolves. His encounter with the Sioux sparked curiosity in and a desire to be the ones he previously saw as the others, which fractured his identity as a soldier. For the men in this study, the relation to the other is much more problematic. Encountering the violent man is a nightmare rather than a fantasy. Even though they have all been physically violent towards their partners, they refuse to define themselves as violent men or woman batterers, even when they start recognizing their behavior as violent. Yet, as a consequence of the intimate relation between their behavior and that of a violent man, they are constantly drawn to this other. They describe themselves paradoxically as moving away from a position as a violent man, while not seeing themselves as ever belonging to that category of men. It is therefore disputable whether they could ever or could be seen as ever having been violent men, but rather as constantly moving between their understanding of themselves as normal, nonviolent men and violent men. So even if they may acknowledge and disclose their abusive behavior, they never fully come out and embrace an identity as violent men, particularly not outside of the treatment center. Monsters in the Closet. This paper has explored relations between masculinity and violence by focusing the affective and spatial dimensions of partner violent men's disclosures and the assumed and actual responses from family, friends, and others. As shown, the men often evoke different closeted positions and at times even compare communicating about their abuse with that of coming out as homosexual. Violent men's coming out stories are, in many respects, similar to the narratives that other stigmatized groups present. For instance, their secrecy is at times based on an experience of shame that affects their relations to other bodies in space, like gay youth. The men in this study come out to some friends and family members, but not to others. Some men are outspoken, but the majority are seldom completely open about their abusive behavior. They come out in certain places, such as the treatment center, while remaining closeted in others, such as YouTube. They also say that people knowing of their abuse inhibits their movement in public space as they assume and experience negative and at times violent responses. Similar to recovering alcoholics, they may, for a period, be open about their violence, but decide not to come out to new friends or girlfriends. Taking these experiences into account, violent men seem to be yet another stigmatized group that evokes the homosexual coming out story. There are, however, major differences between violent men's coming out stories and those of other stigmatized groups. Rather than being stories of a desire to disclose and confirm a secret experience or disposition, the men narrate their attempts to continue passing as nonviolent and to keep their monstrous behavior in the closet. While they may come out to their therapist, other men at the treatment centers, and some friends and family members acknowledging and disclosing their abuse, are not a process where they embrace an identity as a violent man in all places. They do not see or present themselves as violent men, but rather as normal men who have used violence and through therapy are moving away from this. This form of outcome where the individual discloses a stigmatized behavior but does not embrace an identity is somewhat unique, at least compared to the coming out stories of the gay community, alcoholics, and many disabled people. This relates to another crucial difference from other coming out stories, whether silence and secrecy have been shown to be an oppressive aspect of the closet. In contrast, for violent men, silence could be a way to continue to exercise power and to abuse, and it is often in their best interest that the violence remains a private matter, or that only their version of events is communicated. Secrecy about their violence may thus not necessarily be an issue of shame. One could remain in the closet for many reasons, out of shame, but also to keep certain practices hidden without necessarily experiencing any form of embarrassment. Voluntary disclosure could then be a strategy to gain information control and to be in charge of what others know so that they trust the men's stories rather than the rumors about their behavior. At times, Survivors may also want to keep the abuse secret in order to avoid stigmatization, since they could be blamed for the violence or for having chosen an abusive partner. The men in this study never expressed a wish for others to learn about their behavior because the fear of being seen as violent men, uh, but realized they needed to communicate about it to others and to come out in certain places, such as the treatment center, in order to change. Following Brown's argument that closets and outcomes are discursively and spatially produced, this paper has explored the relation between space, violence, and masculinity. Intimate partner violence is not simply a matter about men's relationships with their wives and girlfriends, but also concerns how relatives, friends, colleagues, viewers, and others may respond. In this way, it extends beyond the primary site of the abuse, the home, and into a number of different spaces, such as the street, the treatment center, the gym, the school, Facebook, and YouTube. In her study of poor men in South Africa, Meth 2014 demonstrated that violence could be omnipresent and argued the need to see the relation between men's domestic abuse and their exposure to violence in the street. For the men in this study, violence was not omnipresent in the sense that they were vulnerable to violence outside the home, though some men had been threatened by others, but rather that they were reminded of their own abuse when encountering others in different localities. As they were highly aware of cultural norms of masculinity, where partner abuse is seen as reprehensible, they were concerned about how others would perceive them and therefore cautious about where they came out. This suggests that coming out stories have affective dimensions. Communicating about your violence or others learning about it affects the men's movement, their encounters with the others, and their affective states. I have identified two primary forms of narratives. In stories about seeking therapeutic help, the men primarily express shame and how coming to the treatment center was difficult due to fear of what others would think of them if being seen at such a place. When rumors about their violence spread in their cities or online, the men were outed against their will. They instead tended to narrate experiences of frustration and fear. In both cases, others' knowledge or potential knowledge about their abuse restricted their movement in space and affected their relation to other bodies. Further, as noted, few men come out in the same sense that coming out is for queer people, where a quest for an identity is pivotal. The men in this study may evoke different stigmatized positions, and coming out as a narrative genre seems to be a resource to make their experiences of secrecy and disclosure intelligible. We need, however, to be cautious about making simple analogies, as they may not only obscure differences between groups, such as between heterosexual men who may choose non-disclosure due to fear of what others might think of their partner abuse, and gay and lesbians that stay closeted due to fear of being exposed to homophobia and hate crimes, but also simplify complex relations of power. Partner violent men may experience hostility and threats, and it is important to acknowledge their fear of communicating about their abuse in order to understand and support their attempts to change. Coming out is therefore an alluring narrative, metaphor, that violent men use to explain their experiences of stigma and spatial encounters with other men and women. But it simultaneously obscures their violence, as it foregrounds the vulnerability of the violent man at the expense of their victims' experiences. It also contributes to keeping IPV a domestic and private matter, since it supports and reproduces a culture of silence, where men choose not to be candid about their abuse with others, or only communicate about it in certain secluded places, such as domestic violence perpetrator programs. I was sent this series of screenshots. I'm going to read through them with you now. Hey, is that dirtbag? Is that the dirtbag you chose to marry? He's not too bright. We are going through a separation. He was abusive to me. But then he's calling everyone else woman abusers. The guy has issues, bad ones. But then he gets on YouTube and is a completely compassionate person and gets to be the charming, funny guy. I'm sorry I brought you into this. He hospitalized me in 2020, fractured my spine in 3 places. He strangled me, pointed guns at me, but blames me. I'm a big boy, I can handle my own. I just want truth. Narcissists never get the facts right. It's just so sad. I am so broken. I bet you stay safe and try to keep your chin up. Thank you. Prayers or good thoughts would be greatly appreciated. Amen. And again, I am so sorry for any harm or awful things he has caused you, truly. I am okay. I will handle CJ. I've dealt with all these Delphi dirtbags on YouTube. If you could, please don't share any of this information. He will know it came from me. And we haven't even filed for a divorce yet because I genuinely thought he loved me, but I know it was all a delusion. I really need to stay safe. I appreciate you not mentioning me, maybe. I need to distance myself from as much as possible from the YouTube stuff. Oh, he has many people fooled, believing his childish behaviors. Even using my money to meet up with them at the hotel. I'm paying for 2 households right now. And all he does is flirt, sleep, meet with women, tell me he wants to fix our marriage, gets drunk, and goes on YouTube. He's on YouTube making fun of me, and my buddy Derek's daughter, Libby, was murdered in Delphi. Oh, this one is out of order. He blames me and makes all these people think I'm the crazy one. He gets to have his own YouTube channel that I paid for the Wi-Fi and everything. He gets to be the sad victim whose wife left him in YouTube and get all this attention from women. All of this is just so sad to me. Those poor little girls, and people are just turning everything into a circus and fighting. I knew there was more to CJ than he leads on. What does he say about you? I'm so sorry to hear that. He's pretty much went out of his way to belittle me any way possible. I can't control him. He's let all of this get to his head and has a whole new crew of people who love him, mostly women. Even has a voice of recordings of me and on his lives and makes fun of me. I'm so sorry. Thank you for responding. Not completely. I moved out because he told me that I should be thankful he hasn't put me in the dirt yet. And I said that I had dated guys before our marriage who would have never even thought about doing that. And he told me, well, I hope the next guy does. He's up calling everyone else woman abusers. The guy has issues, bad ones. But then he gets on YouTube and is a completely compassionate person and gets to be the charming, funny guy. I'm sorry you got brought into this. He gets to be the sad victim whose wife left him in YouTube and gets all this attention from women. Sorry, I don't mean to overshare. I just found out something really awful, and an incident happened with him tonight, so I haven't been to sleep. He really should just apologize to everyone he's hurt. What is happening? He said he's going to sue me. He was asked to apologize to people. He refuses to, and he wants to play victim. I've asked you to please keep me out of this for my safety. If he hurts you, many people in high places are aware of the situation. I don't have great legal representation, and he's going to come for me publicly now. Didn't he get charges for hurting you? What county, if so? He did not. He filed a protection order against me and it was granted, so he's going to make me look crazy. Typical narcissist, so we got you covered. Okay. Where is this being shared? I believe he's trying that. He shared it to YouTube. What channel? Okay. What police station can we contact? What is happening if he apologizes? Is he saying he's going to do something to me? Not that I'm aware of. Only you said he threatened to sue you. Hey, as much as I appreciate your help, I need to cleanse myself mentally of this. I do thank you for showing me that there are people that actually give a damn about my well-being. But I need to move forward from all of this and try to hold on or hold to what little mental capacity I do have. I wish you all the best. Thank you for sharing your story. I have someone you can talk to instead of me to keep my peace. He's his old supervisor and would be glad to chat. I really need to keep my mental in this. Would you like his name? Don Davis. Command and control operator at the Air Force Material Command. Studied at American Military University, retired. Evening, sir. You must be familiar with CJ. I was his supervisor before I retired. The young man has hurt a lot of people lately, apparently his wife as well. I'm speaking on behalf of Jenna to give her some peace. That's honorable. Definitely aware. A case was built last year while he was still in. He fearmongered her into dropping the case, so he got off scot-free. I didn't see the real him until I retired. That alcohol carries people away, so I've tried my best to make amends. We all seal our own fate. Nah, we're not going to use that as an excuse. He's a piece of shit. Thanks for reaching out, drunk or sober. This is a huge battle we are in with this Delphi murders case. It's truly a struggle to keep it to the truth. I know nothing about the case, but him studying murder is troubling. My grandfather was a senior master sergeant. Nice, I finished E6. Sweet. I was a knucklehead sort of, but I took care of my people. If you get those files, I'd love to take a peek. We'll run them through legal first. Sure, he broke her in many ways, every way imaginable. Physically, mentally, financially, spiritually, she's lost, dude. That's why I'm here. I know you mean well by messaging her, but it doesn't help her climb out of her hole, so I'm here to assist as best as I can. You are a good man. He's a child that never had accountability. He has nothing but this YouTube echo chamber. And his wife is a punching bag. He got out with no plan and malingered his last year, faking a heart condition. He has medication facts, but he drinks himself into this condition and faked seizures and such to get out of work, which made his fellow airmen take his place on their days off. Everyone is a piece of shit to him if he doesn't approve. I know I'm on the list, but he'll never say it to my face. I live 3 miles away from him, or 3 minutes. Yeah, he wouldn't be hard to spank. He probably didn't come out the house much. Also, if you have to use a name to disclose him in any of this, use Wilson. That'll definitely make him shit the bed. Minus the case files for her, keep that close. Anywho, it's back day, got to get my workout in. Channel's open if you need it. But I'll address this bullshit from the text he sent. There's always this assumption of me trying and failing to have some sort of intimacy with his so-called wife, like I'm a sexual predator who pays for sex. Once he continued to disrespect her and I found out the truth about his abuse, she was no longer his wife, she was property. So he's never asked me directly, have I fucked his wife? But to answer a question with a question, did you break your wife's back literally? The answer to that either sets him free or damns him. And there's only 3 people who really know the truth to both questions. Him, her, and I. But yeah, I guess he told his mom that I threatened him and he felt unsafe, so he had to go. But you have the text and told Jenna that he told me to come and he waited and I never showed up. Well, except that we have the text. So I got to give it to Simon. This is a shout out to Simon. I'm going to read some of Simon's comments here. Simon had a quite interesting comment that he left here. You can see it's rather long. The son is not convicted and only charged, yet he's a kid diddler. Working on that theory, Richard Allen is a child killer. It's a bit hypocritical defending Richard Allen, but using the same conditions to target the family of someone accused of a crime. It's like me saying maybe Kathy Allen covered up for Richard Allen's murder. I don't like the prof, but you're using a hypocritical argument that's not yet based on fact to target someone with opposing views. It's not a good look and amounts to trolling. This video wasn't about Delphi or CSAM. It's just retaliation for being told falsely that you're making a load of money out of dead kids. It's false and baseless. That's all you need to say. You mentioned people may have supported a criminal. I think the same could be said of this channel. It could turn out you raise money for a double child murderer as well. It's more hypocrisy and trolling. Your arguments regarding morons representing the YouTube community is interesting. Quote, stop giving your views to morons that support kid diddlers. The same could be said of child murderers. So again, hypocritical and disingenuous to your audience. Clickbait, vindictive, and is how this video came over. You may have no criminal record yet, but right now this channel looks unhinged. Everyone would agree, family, friends, then Richard Allen. What's the relevance of this part of the rant? Maybe I didn't understand this part of your video. New viewers are easy. Keeping them looks to be the problem. Like you say, nobody likes to breathe in shit. The defense are not winning. At the moment, they are, as Richard Allen is presumed innocent. If he's guilty or innocent, that looks like a winning position. Second time in a row, I've not been impressed by this channel. The Prof's son may be guilty, and it's interesting to see his trial. Yet I'm sure there are more interesting trials to cover. Watching your revenge for being told not to return to Delphi is not going to interest anyone but the vindictive. Good luck. And those are some of the screenshots I was sent that I thought I would share with you.
What's up?
You down with that?
Why are you acting stupid, man?
You like to fuck kids, Holmes?
Why are you acting stupid, bro?
Hey, you better watch your back, S.A. We gonna fuck you up, S.A.
Oh, really? Who is?
Latin King says,
Who's we?
this is Bompton, bitch.
Who's we? I ain't scared of you, CJ.
Me and your whore mother, S.A. Dice todo.
Look, man, you accused me of being behind Laura Snay, attacking her job. You accused me of posting Julie's home on the internet. And you accused me of killing Abby and Libby. And now you're accusing me of touching my own kids, my own niece and nephew.
You might be, Holmes. You might be, S.A.
Okay? Do you see what you're doing? And then you go crying when I go crazy on your ass? How does that make any
You know what
sense?
crazy is, Holmes.
Look, cut this shit out, bro. And
Viva la Mexico. Feliz Navidad.
are you being racist or what? I mean, what's this?
Mucho. You the one sending video from you and Mexican cartel, right, Holmes? You the one sent that.
I
to me,
didn't
Holmes.
I didn't send you
Oh,
it.
yes, you did, Holmes.
I
Yes,
didn't
you
send
did.
you it.
Okay. You done. Well, Chimichanga, combination 15, Holmes.
So what's your the purpose of what's your motivation?
Mexico. Ella, revolution.
What's your motivation?
There you go. There you go. So I don't know why I'm trying to grab the link here. Okay. Perfect. So I have nothing to say. I have a lot to say, but I don't know where to start, so I won't say anything until I feel like I have something to say. Just a moment, please. I have to cough and sneeze and do all that, blow my nose. Okay. All right. So, yeah, like I said, I do have a lot to say. I don't know where to start. Maybe I'll look at the chat for a moment. Thank you. Oh, yeah, I should start with saying thank you, blessings galore. That's a beautiful gesture. And say something nice. Day is tomorrow. Can we please have it one day? Just one. Um, yeah. So let me go ahead and Lisa says, I'd rather hear truth than something nice. Well, that's tough because let's see, what did we hear the other day? Prof is a child molester. Nice one. That's nice. Uh, my brother, who died at 18 years old over marijuana, is a child molester. That's nice. My other brother is a child molester. That's nice. My whole family, nice. My, wow. A lot of credibility there. A lot of credibility you have. Let me say this. The thing is, here we hear hard truths and facts, and I show you hard truths and facts. Elsewhere, you're going to get that, which is shit. So you go where you want for shit, you come here for facts. All right. Not going to speculate, focused only on the disclosure. There's already one victim with a broken back. Hopefully there would not be any more. I've never found this person compelling in any way. This is why I do not blindly support all veterans. Okay. Oh, did I post this yet? All right. It's coming time. YouTube is really going to cross the line. Already has. Does YouTube make people crazy? All right. See, finally, I got to laugh. Thank you. Thank you very much, Frenchie. Or are crazy people attracted to YouTube? I think YouTube allows the mentally deranged to monetize their derangement. Let's go crazy and get paid. Yep. Yes. Yes, French. Yikes. All right. So, oh, thank you, blessings. Yes. No, he is a badass. No, he will. Let me just give you a piece of advice. Piece of advice. Um, Noe calls you, or if you call Noe, you're getting recorded. So Noe has a universal "I'll record your ass" policy. He can explain that to you. Uh, anyhow, I have some things to say, but let's bring on Noe. He just came into the back room, so hey, why not? Well, I forgot that I'm supposed to be laughing. Today is our Friday night party, so we'll Friday night laugh at the Crazies. That's what we're talking about. So let's get it started, and let's bring in Noe. Okay, so let's do this.
Hello.
Hey, I can hear you.
Good evening. You can or can't?
I can.
Okay. Good evening, Prof, and good evening, Friday night party chat. Interesting article. Paying close attention. How a lot of the things that you read, how they, you can see how some individuals fit that, whatever it is, that profile, whatever they were describing on this article. But I mean, I'm no one to judge, but you can see a pattern on these people, especially the people who turn violent with women. I don't know, what's your thought on that, Prof?
Yeah, well, I found it interesting. It's like you've been in some of these group therapy sessions, and so you know how I'm sure you could understand the language that the author was speaking there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
Well,
mean,
go ahead.
no, you go ahead. Go ahead. It's fine.
Oh, I was gonna say, well, like I've been mostly for substance abuse, some classes, group classes, group therapy, one-on-ones, IOP, and more recently, like anger management, which is more general. I'm lucky to say, and there's not one woman in this planet who can contradict. I've never laid hands on a woman. Never. I actually I get along very good with women. Of course, there's a group of people who would want to label me as a woman basher or intimidating women, but the way I see those instances that have occurred within the past year, because we're going to narrow it down to this past year, uh, there's been some women who have been trying to push my buttons. And when I turn verbal, it's intimidating, right? When I turn verbal, and you know, I'm sorry, but if you may be a woman or a man, but if you are doing something to me that warrants me becoming uh, verbally assertive, aggressive, I am going to. I know my boundaries, and I know that physical violence, you know, I'm not going to do any of that over a disagreement, but I am going to voice my opinion, and then of course these women immediately they want to use that card and label and blow up things, right? So I've been through some of that within the past year, but I've never laid hands on any women in my life. I love women. I have a lot of women friends, and that article I can see from the outside and make my opinions about it. I mean, I've met a lot of people who would fit that description, but um, it's a frustration that that these people, these guys have from not talking about it, maybe not working on themselves, and they've held that frustration for so long, and they let it out. They let it out on their women or on women in general.
Yeah, let me ask you, you're not a violent person, are you? Like, is that
Um,
your deal? You're just not violent in general?
I'm not violent in terms of like, I've had I've had some violence in my life. I did experience violence as a youngster. There was a lot of fighting. There was, I remember boxing. There was a lot of boxing, and we would go box against other kids from other neighborhoods. I think that the very first experience, like really violent experience that I had, was a shooting, and I've been through several of those. Um, the one thing that I think will turn me violent is mm, would be if someone wronged me in my face, and of course I'm talking about like in the streets, and maybe it would I've turned violent against other men over money situations, you know but in general, I would say that I'm not out looking for violence in the streets. I in the past, in my 20s and 30s, I was out in the streets looking for money, um, hustling, and that brought some violence in my life.
Well, I mean, okay, do you beat women?
I've never touched a woman.
And I notice
I,
you didn't
I,
even punch small balls in the face when you could have. Uh,
no, you see, I had a plan for small balls, and in the heat of the moment, I didn't. I just blew my mind. But my plan was not to be violent, because I know that during that time, or no, I was not on the monitor anymore. But the first time I was at Carroll County. But my plan was to let him be violent against me, and then because he kept saying that when he saw me in public, he was gonna kick my ass and beat me up and tear me up, and then that I was gonna get arrested and go to jail. And I was like, well, what the fuck? How in the fuck does that make sense? If he's the one who's gonna kick my ass in public, why would I go to jail? Wouldn't I go to the hospital and him go to jail? So my plan was to let him follow through with his word, which he never did. He keeps saying, "Oh, you got lucky," but he never did. What he did do was spit in my face, and from talking out loud and screaming in my face, he was, and the only thing I did was kind of like block his spit, but I was never gonna turn violent against him. I wanted him to turn violent. I know that at all moments I never lost sight of him, and the most that he can do is a belly bump, the famous baseball belly bumps. I mean, that's all he's done.
I noticed all the shit talking, and the
All
most
the
he
yeah,
saw was most he saw was two badasses belly bumping, and
I mean, I can I can take
what else?
those. I thought he was gonna, like, I mean, at least attempt to punch me, which I know I'm faster than him, and I know I can defend myself. Uh, there's no way that I would have allowed him to wrap himself around me and all that shit. You know, I would have jumped to a side immediately. Mm-mm.
Well,
But
let's
in
talk
terms
about
of
the
like
subject at hand.
getting violent towards him, now I did get verbal with him. I,
Yeah, let's talk about the subject at hand.
okay.
Um, yeah, we talked a little earlier today. Honestly, I can't remember what I asked you to come on and talk about.
Well, I'm
I
gonna
wasn't feeling good. I felt real bad today, and I still kind of do.
right.
But
What
I
I'm
heard
gonna
a lot of allegations and slander headed your way.
Yeah, I'm gonna play this if you allow me.
Well, I don't know. What is it?
Let me see. Okay.
Maybe the kids like to play with the ponytail while he's doing it.
Hold on.
Hey, Noe, I can't do it. Got to quote it. You got to quote it with your own words.
Well, I'm not gonna show anything.
Well, that's okay. I'm not taking a risk.
Um, then there's no point in me playing it because I'm not gonna remember exactly what was said here. Anyway, it's on the other damn phone.
Well, yeah, well, I heard all kind of I heard all kind of allegations. Uh-oh, there he went. No, I don't know if we lost him or he just shut the camera. Uh, hmm.
Okay, I'll just do it to where like
That Noe Amos? Maybe the kids like,
Uh,
but it's worth asking.
no, I can't do it. I can't do it, Noe. Can't do it. Let me send you a message right quick. Anyway, look, I'm not feeling too well, y'all. Oh, let's see. Let's see. I'm in slow motion with my brains tonight. Let's see. There we go. There we go. I'm trying to. No, that's not it either. Okay. Oh man. Well, so let's see what else I can talk about. Well, Noe, check your messages, Noe. All right. Um, uh, I think something's funny here. It's $10,000. This group of idiots is fucking idiots. They are idiots. I want to talk about that. Because it's funny how these people, do things. Oh, look, Noe may be coming back. Let's get Noe back here. All right, let's see. What the hell? Oh, Noe, you dropped. Click the link again or something, Noe. All right, so while he's figuring that out, $10,000. It shows you the it shows you like the lack of integrity or thoroughness with these folks. It's very interesting how they do things like and I'll make you understand in this way. Basically, what they do is they think of things, or oh look, no, he's back. They think of things, or they assume things, and they think that that's real and reality. So it's sort of like, what's up, Noe? Can we hear you?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah. So I was going to talk about something about the $10,000. Okay. Because boy, this has been gone all over, and even little. Anyway, these people they think of something in their head, or they just assume something, and then they get on their channels and they state it as reality and as facts. You know, they make up these facts. So the fact. Okay. Well, should I say what they are saying first, or what's fact? Let's see. Okay, let me do it this way. Because I might as well use this as an opportunity to promote my GoFundMe, because this particular thing is about the GoFundMe. Okay. So let me see if I can even grab it right now. Oh man, what a pain. Okay. I just want to make this work really quick and tell this story. All right, so I'm gonna log in. It's taking forever, Noah. I'm trying to grab something here. Let's see.
Well, I was gonna play something, but you don't want to play it on air, so I'll talk about it when you get done with your thing. It's
Oh my God! What the hell, man? So difficult. Let's see.
by the way, CJ just called me.
Yeah, he wants to take control of the narrative here. That ain't gonna happen.
He was doing that one thing where using that voice and threatening some more. He claims that the Latin kings are after me. He must be a Latin king. I suppose he's a Latin king.
Right. No, what he is he's Kokomo, Indiana methamphetamine cartel, so affiliation. But we'll talk about that. I'm trying to right now. Gosh, man, can you believe I lost my own GoFundMe? I'm trying to log into it. Oh, there we go. I got it. Okay. See, it's not always easy to do anything. Okay. Let's see. Share. Okay. Now we're in business. I'm just kind of distracted and I have a headache tonight. So I'm not on 100% tonight, Noe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like 60. Okay, there we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, go click the GoFundMe and leave a donation. And I will tell you about the GoFundMe, okay? Because this is, I'm trying to come full circle to how they make shit up in their minds and that becomes reality. So I figured, hey, let me point at this because the whole thing, the whole troll farm is saying is Prof made a GoFundMe to bail his son out of jail. Have you heard that one, Noe?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, see, that's one of the things that they make up in their own mind, and then they assume that that's reality, and then they get on their channels and they spit that as a fact. But see, that shows you that's how they do everything. That's why you can't listen to a goddamn word they say about Delphi or any evidence because nothing is fact based. It's all just irrational, emotional, make believe, fantasy world shit. You know, that's why they're all libtards. But whole other conversation. So the allegation is Prof made a GoFundMe to pay his son's bail. Well, these people ain't too smart. I tell you that much. Because this is the truth about it. I would never pay my son's bail because if I wanted to pay my son's bail, I could have a year ago paid $1,000 and bailed him out. Okay. But my decision was I did not want to bail him out. And so I did what I had to do. I talked to who I had to do to have that bail be 10,000 cash because not only did I not want to bail him out, I didn't want anyone to bail him out. Okay? Because I'm a good dad, I'm a tough dad, and I believe you have something to go and learn in there. So my goal was you ain't getting bailed out. And especially 3 days before this whole thing is over, there's no bailing. My intention to bail him out does not exist. It never did for the longest. Now, that's the fact about the bail. Now, I'll have receipts in the future to show all of this, but I'm not even going to say what they are now. But I'll tell you off screen, Noe, when we're done and we talk privately. I'll tell you the whole story because you're going to laugh your ass off and be like, "God damn, Prof, you're a hard ass." But
Well, what I do know right now is that isn't he coming up for hearing? Why would you wait a year or 9 or 10 months, whatever it is, to like bail him out, to put up a GoFundMe to bail him out right before his hearing, when his
to bail him out a week or two before, it's the stupidest. That's why I mean these people don't even think. They don't have logic. They also don't study facts or don't research. They just draw these wild conclusions and then they run with it because, especially when it's slanderous. Now, what is fact? I want to say what is fact because what is fact is what I've said. Now, if you click on the GoFundMe, you'll see that it's different now, and I'll tell you why. Because I thought for psychological reasons. But what it says is legal fees for defamation, a stand against cyberstalking. As you may be aware, I've been the victim of online harassment and cyberstalking for more than a year because of my coverage of the controversial murder case in Delphi, Indiana. Okay. Please help me raise funds for the initial $5,000 it will cost for attorneys to address the defamation. Okay. Okay. So all trolls are being banned. That's why I'm saying. Okay. So what is the truth, Prof? Well, the truth is what I have posted on the fucking GoFundMe when I created it. The truth is that I spoke with attorneys. Okay. Truth is that I spoke with attorneys. And I made the decision to speak with the best attorneys for the job. And I thoroughly laid out for them the number of individuals we would have to be addressing and the amount of time and all of this. So after the consultation with the attorneys, a figure of $10,000 was the amount settled upon as as an initial amount to get everything tentatively done. Bottom line. Now, that doesn't mean going into extended court cases for each individual. It just means for the general job that could probably take care of everything, 10 grand. So so I figured let's shoot for the moon. You know, let's aim high. So I said, let me just go ahead and make the GoFundMe for that, because who knows, people may contribute, it may take off. Then I noticed I have $75 in here. Okay, so I've only gotten $75 on the GoFundMe. Well, people are kind of reluctant to donate to the GoFundMe because their name usually shows. So a lot of people have been sending me private donations through my Cash App or through Super Chats. You know, people have been sending me other donations that's more anonymous, and buy me a coffee using a secret anonymous. So there's several ways people can help me to accumulate funds, but it's the GoFundMe is turning out to be a dud. Like, in other words, people just don't like going to that and donating, and I don't blame them, because remember when Mark Robert Cohen was doing the scam with his daughter, you could see those donations on there. So I already knew that going in. At GoFundMe would kind of be iffy with the audience, but whatever. $10,000 is a standard amount on most good attorneys for defamation. So that was the amount I was aiming for. After I thought about it for a while, I said, well, let me cut that in half, because I think maybe if people see that it's $10,000 and they only see $100 in there, they'll be less likely to help out. So I said, if I lower it in half to the 5,000, then that will be less prohibitive to people, less intimidating of a goal. Anyhow, the 5,000 is the retainer. Okay, so basically the 5,000 for the number of individuals I have to address, that's the retainer. The 10,000 is the overall estimate, and there's even a lower amount for just the first step. So there's all these amounts. It depends on what the attorney's going to do for you. Anyhow, it's just coincidental, and I should have thought about this before I made the GoFundMe, that these fucking idiots in the troll farm, I should have already anticipated their insanity and said, oh no, if they go and stalk my son and see that his bond is cash 10 grand bond, and if they see that I'm making a GoFundMe for 10 grand, that they're going to put those two together and say, oh my God, he's trying to do a GoFundMe to bail his son out. Well, no, how fucking stupid would that be to go pay 10 grand a week before or 2 weeks before? That, like, you guys have zero common sense whatsoever. But I should have anticipated their retardedness, because that's just been the whole slander they've been throwing around, is 10 grand, 10 grand, 10 grand. But I thought it was funny and just a good illustrative point to use to show how they come up with these fantasies in their own mind. They draw irrational, illogical conclusions, and then they go and running and slandering and defaming with how they believe that to be fact. Okay, so yeah, anyhow, the attorneys want 10 grand to take care of the problem. And do you think I want to spend 10 grand on these idiot trolls on YouTube? Well, no, he's chilling, but no, I don't want to spend 10 grand on these idiot trolls on YouTube. Anyhow, that's just one small point, as they do shit like that. You know, the Foxy Lady says that's a pretty standard amount, actually. These are pretty incredible sleuths. Yeah, well, they make up shit in their own mind, and that's what's fact to them. So imagine about the shit they say about, imagine what they say about the Delphi murders case, you know? What's up, Noe? I'm not hearing you.
I'm here.
Oh, there you go.
hmm Well, since I can't, you're worried about the strikes, and I can't play what I need to play or what I wanted to play. I'll just talk about it, I suppose. But I have a clip out of that from that live stream, I believe 2 nights ago, where uh, we talked we talked about your case with your son and the GoFundMe. So I want to talk about what he said at the 7 mark of the or 6 minute mark of that live stream, was that you have a friend, and the friend is Noe, Mr. Noe Amos, and he goes on to say that that I was incarcerated with half the pedophiles in the state of Indiana. And
Exaggerate much?
yeah, he does. So he says that I, of course, he labeled you diddler, child diddler, and that I'm hanging out with all these child diddlers, and that kids like music and they also like ice cream, and that maybe I use the guitar to lure children and touch them. So as I go on to listen to all that, and then I I backtrack it, and I look back as to when CJ came around. First of all, it started with 1,000 people told him that I was behind getting Laura Snay, you know, attacked her career.
1,000.
A
Wow.
thousand people. He told me that
Are there even that many viewers in the Delphi YouTube?
1,000 people told him that I was behind
All
getting
right.
Laura Snay attack her career, and he went on to group me with the problem of the Delphi community. Then he went on to a couple other things, like he he said that I took pictures of Julie Melvin's home and I posted them on the internet. Okay. And he went on to accuse me and Fort Pitts of killing Abby and Libby. Okay. And now the latest one, which is me using my instrument to lure children, touch them. So I give this guy a call to confront him on that. I mean, which if CJ would have been a woman, I probably would have done the same thing, called to confront, and immediately he goes into like, I hope you die, I hope you hang yourself. And I said, look, bro, I'm calling you because I just saw this. Somebody sent me this clip, and I just saw this, and this was last night. It was already a day old. So what the hell? I mean, you're accusing me of all these things without any proof or receipts, right? So he gets on stupid mode and doesn't want to hear it, and he ends abruptly with, I hope you hang yourself, or something like that. And
Oh,
then for the rest of the night, man, I received like 6 calls from him. Okay. Um, and I posted some of them, the ones that I was able to record. So I'm like, okay, this kid's got a problem. He's got a problem. Not only does he not care that, you know, he's just making shit up, but also he like is constantly, you know, bringing more shit up. And, you know, God knows what he's gonna do tomorrow. So
Yeah, he's look, he's a plant. Okay, he's a plant. He's a chaos agent. He's troll farm. Uh, so one thing I want to say, you said kid diddler. I wanted to mention and to comment upon that because I noticed that that's his favorite word, and he uses it excitedly. And I
mhm.
just wanted to say that that boy, that's just a very telling term right there, because I don't see what makes anything funny about child molestation whatsoever. And the way that he's turned something as horrible and vile and vicious as child molestation and decided to make a funny of it and call it kid diddling and use it every 5 seconds, it really it like it takes the gravity off of the situation, you know.
I
Just
agree.
like accusing people of child molestation who are not child molesters, it takes the seriousness off of the crime. It's like if you go to everyone and say, "Oh, that's a child molester," you're devaluing the victims of child molestation by the actual perpetrators who are child molesters. And so, I mean, it's very irresponsible behavior. And for instance, I know myself that's the furthest thing from my mind that has ever existed is any thought of molesting or touching a child. So it's just incredible to see someone act so recklessly, uh, so disrespectfully, and overall just fucking horrible and sick individual. Sick, like Harry said about Rick Snay, he's a sick and twisted individual. That's why Rick Snay is his idol.
Yeah. Myself, I've always had two rules, and you know, I've been around and about, and I've always had two rules. And um, rule number one is no children. Rule number two is no animals. That should just don't don't attract me. Now, in the contrary, I have a track record with all my defects and all my. I mean, it's not like he labeled me a career criminal. I mean, I have I have felonies for possession of or substance abuse, mostly alcohol and controlled substance. So yeah. In the contrary, I have a track record of like actually helping children, you know, in language, in sports, and in music. You know, there's nothing in this state or any other state that I've lived in that would, that it's the last, like you said, it's the last thing. When I see children, I think about helping them. Okay, and I know that it's very contrary to what like I've been open about, like the street hustling, right? The street hustling was something that I did when I was younger, and it's contrary. I understand that, okay, but there's a boundary and there's a line that divides my thought in terms of that. Like I was always trying to hustle, make money, make ends meet. Okay, um, I did not. I was not a person who fed drugs or alcohol to children. The daytime I had a professional life, and at nighttime, I did something else that I was trying to hustle money. And I understand that it doesn't look very good, but where I'm from in South Texas, it's very common. I mean, it's very common that anybody will go hit the streets to make an extra dollar. So, you know, I understand that. But with that being said, you know, like I've coached I've coached hundreds of children here in the state of Indiana. I've gone through many background checks, you know. The first thing they do is they look for sex offenses. That's the first thing they do. You know, if you have a substance abuse offense, they might work with you. They might, you know, allow you to still coach. But I mean, he just like takes something and blows it up, and he's the only one who believes in it. I mean, I've seen a lot of his own people are leaving his channel
Well,
because the vulgarity of his live streams, how he talks, how he conducts himself, the things that come out of his mouth.
well, it's not just that. I mean, he said, okay, remember when he first attacked you and I together and he lumped us in with the troll farm and he said that these two people don't deserve to be part of YouTube community. They need to go. And
Yeah,
I'm here to do that.
he said
Well,
that we were the problem of this community, and that he was gonna deal with it with
yeah,
us.
well, and he just repeated that a couple days ago with the slanderous stream. He said the exact same thing. I'm here to get these people out of the community, blah, 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 blah. But hey, look, bottom line, CJ, look, little bitch, I'm not going anywhere. So
I'm not either.
bad news for you. If that's your goal, find another goal because that one, I'm not going anywhere.
It ain't gonna roll.
I don't have to. Okay, see, Ruckus is like a 12-year-old because children have to say, I do what I want. Okay, listen, I'm not a child. I'll tell you this. Obviously, everyone does what they want, and I do what I want. And what I want is to do this now. And so, uh,
And CJ, you can't do anything about it. I mean, it don't matter how many guns you wave, how many times you hit Jenna, how many times you go out and you think you're a badass, you know, you can't do anything about it. You know, if these threats about the Latin kings, you're running with the Latin kings and El Jefe and all this bullshit, bro, don't even go there with me, man. Because if someone knows the streets, it's me, not you. Okay.
oh, the thing is this, I ain't going nowhere. So, I mean, it's a stupid ass goal. Like, if you have to come and, you know what else he said? He said something funny was that I, I can't remember the terminology, but basically, like, I inserted myself into this community as a child molester. Look, son, if anyone came and inserted themselves into the Delphi community, it's you. That's why we know that you're a plant. You're a controlled opposition. You came to cause destruction and chaos, and you've been pretty good at it. But anyone who believes you is the problem. And that's why I told all these women that I talked to fuck off when they didn't want to hear the simple facts. Okay? Because I said before, I had no friends on YouTube coming in. I plan on having no friends going out. I owe no one nothing. Someone got inserted into this community to cause problems. So anyway, I'm here, do what I want. Listen, we have evidence that there were some sexual, how do you call them? The criminals, the sexual criminals, those who have to register as sexual offenders. We have sexual offenders around these streets. All right. Have you even ever heard me call them out? No, because it's not necessary or appropriate. I don't have to do that to try to slander you. But for you to go out and blanket slander people with those accusations, it bottoms out your credibility and it shows that you are not to be taken seriously. Because that boat don't float, son.
You
It
know,
don't.
that there's people who are starting to see that. I know at least 4 ladies that I speak to who are backing out, and they won't go back to his channel. They won't be guests. They won't be on his panels anymore. And now I got something to say about this Dan guy. Okay, I try to reach out. Well, I haven't tried to reach out to him, but I want to. I just don't know how to, and I don't care to. It's not priority. But what I can say to Dan is that uh, if you hang out with a wife beater, well, Dan must be a wife beater too. Dan, or a girlfriend beater, a woman beater,
Good
because
point. Yes.
He hangs out with a wife beater.
Using his own logic. Yes.
Exactly right. Dan, is that right, Dan? Do you beat your wife? I mean, do you see what I'm doing here? What I'm doing is what CJ does. What CJ does, and I just don't understand Dan's goal or objective. But why is he so attached to this kid? Are they an item? What is the thing? I mean, CJ will go out and speak the most vulgar stuff. Vulgar. Oh, I can't say it. Vulgar stuff on YouTube in regards with his body and to other people's body, and what he wants done to him, and what he, and why would you want to be hanging around with someone like that? Like, I'm not going to say that, like, I've had episodes where, like, I've lost my cool, and I've especially when I had those losing it life on YouTube moments, I've showed a character defect, but I've never, not on this platform or any other platform, ever have, spoke the things that CJ says. I mean, he's done it with a full panel with Bob Mata on board, Michael, what's his last name? Ashbrook, Julie Melvin.
Well, not just that. Yeah, to me, the most absolutely disgusting display of that was when Julie Melvin was talking and saying a very important little piece. He asked her if she knew what a cream pie was.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, that just crosses all the lines. I mean,
Yeah, and he on that very same show, he told Julie that certain person can give me a BJ. So I mean, I'm not the most perfect. I'm not the shiniest apple on the tree, but I'm gonna tell you something, bro. I'm not gonna talk like that on live on YouTube. Um, I've called people names. I've gotten a fight with Rick Snay. I with Kyra DeBruin and that group. Let's not name people. Let's just say that group. But I'm not gonna say things that are like, I mean, potentially get charged with, sexual harassment. I mean, and when you were talking about the Kid Diddler term, I had never heard that term. It's, I've heard pedophile, child molester, chomo, but a kid diddler, and he speaks very comfortable using that term. Like, I mean, I guess that's what happens, what goes on around his neighborhood. I don't know, but he seems to be very familiar with it, and I don't know what his motivation is. What I mean, who who died and made him the YouTube savior? Like he's gonna save the YouTube Delphi community. I
All
mean,
the cougars in the chat, allegedly.
all the cougars on the chat.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But
so-
yeah, like I said, man, I know I've spoke to a handful of ladies that have literally here. I'm gonna read you a text that I received earlier, and I'm not gonna name the person. I send her this clip that I want to play that you're scared of, but it's okay. I sent her that clip and I said, "What's wrong with this guy?" Because I'm thinking that she still supports him. She still, she regularly appears on his panels. She says, "I don't know. Apparently, someone told him I doxed him for you guys." So somebody told CJ that this person doxed him for us. I've never asked anybody to dox him. When I first came out and I thought I mentioned his name, I thought somebody told me that his name was Charles from Kokomo, and I repeated that.
yeah,
But
that stupid bitch who never has any facts right. That's who told you that. But another
well,
subject.
this is someone else, and he said I posted his background on Prof's Discord. Now, I don't know if that's true or not because I'm not on your Discord. I'm not in anybody's Discord. Okay, I don't know what the hell is wrong with him. He can never produce receipts. I did nothing but defend the kid, but he can go fuck himself now. So this is a person that was like constantly on these panels with Bob Mata and all the all the cool kids in the block, all the cool kids.
Cool kids. Yeah, give me a fucking break.
And she's done, and that's only one of 5 ladies that I've had conversation with since. I talked to a Hollywood screenwriter that I talked to that's known in the Delphi community. I send her some of these screenshots and these phone calls that I recorded, and she was literally pissed off. And what she had to say was, let me find her. He's nothing but junk. He's a loser. This is scary. This is creepy. I'm vetting this voice with my tech expert. I mean, he'll tell me exactly what it is. I don't follow any of the YouTube stuff. I was concerned about the threats he made to you. They believe it's AI playing. Generally don't understand why anyone wastes a moment on wars on YouTube. I guess it gives him followers. And this is a lady in Hollywood who her and I exchange messages. She's a screenwriter, and just like what he does, bro, it's creepy. It creeps people out. and then yet he wants to turn around and act like, you know, me and my guitar are creeping out the kids.
Oh yeah, that's another funny thing. He always goes like the hair. What's the obsession with hair? He's like Prof's hair, and I'm a man bun wearing child molester, and Noe is a Noe is your hair. Like there's a big obsession over our hair, and just think that's fucking hilarious. Like, bro, it's kind of gaydar is going off over here. You got
Yeah,
my gaydar like peeking out the needles, just like peeking off the meter, bro. Come on.
why are you focusing? Why are you even bringing up hair? You know, why are you even bringing it up? I mean, you know, like in my neighborhood, man, when I'm gonna bring up someone, it's, you know, it's gonna be, oh, look at that girl, how pretty she is. You know, oh, you know, like she's got pretty hair. You know, that's how we play in my neighborhood. But in my neighborhood, I'm not worried about men's hair or appearance. You know. Oh, another thing that he said was that you and we both give the appearance of kid diddlers.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. He's saying with the hair, you look like Kid did. It's like, man, like, listen. First of all, the gaydar is going off real bad, and then just in addition, it's just weird. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, it
Like,
is weird. I'm gonna tell you one
what's the
thing.
motivation here that you got to do that?
That's my question. I've lived in the state of Indiana for 25 years, and I'm gonna tell you the first thing that they ask me in public is, "Are you Indian?" The second thing that they ask me in public is, "Do you have any weed?" Uh, do I look like a fucking?
Hey, man, look.
I guess I look like a stoner or an you know, Indian hitting the peace pipe, but I've never.
You know what?
CJ, I've never fucking had any of this issue with, like, I look like a kid did. I didn't even know what the fuck a kid did.
You can tell people that haven't been anywhere, because if you come to Colorado, what first thing you will notice is that all the white men have a lot of hair.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of men have their hair back in a bun or tied in a ponytail because it's fucking Colorado. It's mountainous. It's hot. The sun is close because we're 10,000 feet in the air at all times. People ski and hike, and like, dude, visit Colorado. You'll see that it's the majority of guys have longer hair. Or if you don't want to go to the gorgeous mountains of Colorado, go visit New Orleans. Because one thing you'll find out in New Orleans, that a lot of white guys have a lot of hair. Not only that, a lot of black guys have a lot of hair in New Orleans. I mean, we're kind of liberal places. But I mean, being that you never left Kokomo, Indiana, I could understand. I can understand you don't know anything about how people basically carry themselves anywhere else in the world, other than meth capital of the Midwest. So,
Bro, one thing I've noticed about this region, Prof, is that people here are very uncultured. They have, like you say, they haven't left this area.
never. Yeah.
Their thing is going into someone's house, going into their cousin's house, and just mingling with each other. You know, that's the culture here. Now, I'm not saying everybody's like that. I've met some of my best friends here in the state of Indiana, but unfortunately, I call it the redneck-city of North Central Indiana. It's alive and well here in this area. And
Yeah, and both of us are aware that that's not a word. It's a made-up word that
yeah,
you made up.
oh
Be
yeah,
smart.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
I
that's your humor, okay,
yeah,
everybody.
I call it.
He knows English.
I yeah, I made up that word. I call it the redneckicity, the toxicity of the redneck of North Central Indiana. Okay, and um, it's alive and well here, bro. It's like people who don't. I mean, these folks can't even recite the Pledge of Allegiance, bro. That's how bad it is, and they only know one thing, and it's go down to the next door, and hit the pipe, and hit the pipe. You know, as much as people want to,
Toxicity.
as much as people want to label me as a needle user and a meth head, an alcoholic, a pothead, you know what? I'm neither one of those, bro. I'm neither one of those. You know, I had my experiences because I mean I've had possession of many of these drugs. I've been around heroin. I've been around a lot of methamphetamines, a lot of cocaine, a lot of weed, plantations of
Well, you
weed.
should fit in good with the troll farm. On that note,
But my charges are always possession of a controlled substance or DWI. Now, I do have a trafficking charge out of the state of Texas, and that has been executed years ago. Okay, it's been executed. I executed my time in a state facility in the state of Texas. I heard most recently. I heard Mr. Smallballs say
tiny smalls.
that I have, I've only been to a county jail, like preschool of jails, something to that extent. Well, the thing is that nobody around here in the state of Indiana know what I've been through, what I've been through in the past. And I've lived in multiple states as well. I've lived in Florida and Texas. But anyway, I'm not here to brag about it, but no, I have been to a bigger house and one that was pretty rough in Texas, and I did five years for trafficking. So I've seen it all, bro. I mean, I've seen it all. I've been around it, but I've never been a junkie. I've always held a position. I've been a professional. I've held a job. I've never been a fucking junkie. And that's what I feel like these people, like your Reg Dunlaps, your CJs, your Small Balls, and others, not to name all of them, that's what really pisses them off. That just you can look at me and tell that I am not a fucking junkie from Market and Main Street,
But they are. Yes.
but they are.
Yeah, and they're alcoholics on top of it. So the
Mm-hmm.
alcoholic junkies are the ones who are mad that you're not an alcoholic junkie.
Mm-hmm.
Either or.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it is what it is, man.
Yep.
Oh man.
But yeah, man, I just want people to know. I really wanted to play the clip, but it's okay. I kind of explained what it is, but not just not just as he go off on that. He was saying that you people think you are an expert on the case. Well, I'll tell you what, like Prof, that you and I we've worked together behind the scenes, and it's always been in regards to exposing people who have who are basically catfishing tendencies, but in regards to the case and stuff, like I've always ever since I came out, I've always stuck to my story. uh, I I was in custody with Chubby, and that's all I can talk about. I've never discussed anything about the families or the accused or the prosecution or the defense team. I've never taken any sides or anything. But in terms of like him calling you an expert, well, out of all these people that I've seen on YouTube, okay, you've done a lot of work. You've done a lot of work in reading documents, and you get a lot of your group, whether it's 80 or 150 or whatever on the chat, that you get a good response when you do that. I don't know for what reason he thinks that he can label you as the expert. I don't hear you bragging about it. But like I said, man, what drew me to work with you behind the scenes was me witnessing with my own two eyes what this group was doing. And at the time, they were doing it to you and they were doing it to another friend of mine. And I was like, I mean, look, if they can stand up for their friends, why can't I?
Yeah, no, what was I gonna say about the thing is, compared to him, I am an expert, because I know who David Vito is, and this kid doesn't even know who David Vito is. It's like, come on, man. And all he knows is Richard Allen is innocent.
Mm-hmm.
Richard Allen is totally innocent. Yeah, and it's not right the way they treat Richard Allen. He's totally innocent. That's all he knows.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, dude, maybe learn who David Vito is. Maybe learn who, I don't know, what Brock Russell is. Maybe learn who, I don't know, anyone else in the case, Steve Mullen. I mean, learn who some people are. Maybe learn about the entire history of the case and what was ever said about the Kokomo crew. Like, do you even know what was ever said about the Kokomo crew and old Garrett Kurtz? And I mean, maybe learn some things about the case before you try to be the expert and start kicking people out of the community by acting like a fucking maniac. So, unfortunately, I mean, bro, it's like you've shown your hand and it ain't a good one. So,
well, we know where that came from. That came from Small Balls himself. I mean, he acts like him. He does it's his idol, and he just jumped on the wagon and one day decided to come on YouTube and pretty much a follower. He's a follower.
No, that wasn't the way it happened, but we'll talk about that at some point in the future. But no, yeah, I mean, listen, I made it clear to everyone. No, I do not think Richard Allen is completely innocent, but I also don't think we could possibly know anything about it because we haven't gone to trial yet. We don't know any of the discovery that is unknown to us. So there's a lot we don't know. So how in the hell could we proclaim Richard Allen is innocent or Richard Allen is guilty? We can only have personal feelings or gut intuition about it. But I mean, one thing is, I know who David Vito is. I mean, come on, like this is important stuff to try to have your mind around. I know who Garrett Kurtz is. Like, you have to kind of know a few things before you become the expert. And this whole charade about reasonable conversations, it's the gaslight. It's part of the social mask. I mean, there's nothing there's no way to have a reasonable conversation when you're calling people child molesters and junkies and all of this. So anyway, I think it all speaks for itself, and this wasn't supposed to be a bashing session. This is supposed to be the Friday night laugh at the fucking crazies, because, I mean, I don't know if they. It's like they still don't get this, because you notice he liked to dox me. He had to put my name and use my name often, and it's like they think that these things actually bother me to an extent that they really don't, because 90%, you know me behind the scenes. I mean, 90% of the time, I'm actually laughing at the futile efforts of these maniacs and these crazy. I think they're all fucking nuts. I do call them libtards because I think they're retarded and libtards. So I do call them that, but they're primarily libtard crazies. And most of the time, I just laugh at them and the shit they're trying to pull. But it is exhausting. But yeah, so Friday Night Laugh at the Crazies, the douchebag edition. That's our show. Time spent on something is valuable, it's not meaningless. Just got into the case. Observe those who are connected with people like this. Why? Picking a side serves the dialectic.
A while back, I read a comment that I can't remember who it was. It might have been Aaron or Lisa. They were like, "What about all that money he raised? Where's the money? Where did it go? Are there any receipts? What is he doing with that money?" I don't know if that's something that we could talk about, look into.
No, I don't care about it. I don't care. The defense thanks him for his service on that note. But hey, here's my thing with the case. I think Richard Allen is being treated pretty poorly as a pretrial detainee. I will fight for that. Okay. I think I want every single person involved in this case to have accountability for it. I'll go for that. I think there are crimes being committed on the internet by those who I term the troll farm, which includes Mr. Casey. So all of these things are what I believe. And that's my opinion.
Foxy Lady has a very good comment. She says, he thinks he's funny, but it's not appropriate while talking about a child murder case. And I agree with her. I agree with her 100%. You know,
Right, right. It's nuts.
because he does talk about, he is covering the case. You know, he like when I've done some of my lives on my channel, I I always try to divide the case from, because fighting with the trolls and making a show about the trolls is not about the case. Okay. Um, but yeah, I think that's a very good point.
Well, I know this. I'm not a wife beater. And I know who is.
And
So,
and and the wife herself is the one who, claims that. And there's backup. This Mr. Don Davis backs her up.
not only that, we have other documentation that we have not posted yet. That's why I know what I'm talking about. So, anyway, I'm done with the let's have the laugh to get out of here. Let's see what the ladies in the chat are saying before we wind it down.
I'll tell you what, Prof. I'm gonna let you close it up, and I'll just say good night to everyone, and thank you for having me up here. I do want to announce that I've been very. This case has drained me out completely, and I need a break. I want to take a break, but this thing keeps sucking you in, because uh, you'll get a text, and you'll get a clip, you'll get a screenshot sent to you, and I'm right back to where square one. So I hesitate to say anything, but it's draining, bro. I wish that that I was doing other stuff, you know. On a more light lighter note, brighter note, I do have a little show next week. It's gonna be very interesting. I will be in Richmond, Indiana, and I'm gonna be hanging out with another singer songwriter, and we're gonna do a live show in Richmond. So that'll distract me. But yeah, man, I want to thank the ladies that are always here and support your channel and support me, Foxy Lady and Lisa and Carol, Aaron. Thank you guys. Key West was here earlier. Thank you uh, for everything, and thank you, Prof, for having me. And I'll say good night now and let you roll out.
All right, good night, man. Thanks for coming.
Right on.
All right. All right. Y'all thank Noe before he gets out of here. Thank him. Well, guys, it's been a lot. It's been a lot. I'm laughing my ass off right now because, believe it or not, little fuckface is he could not resist the urge to go on and to try to go slander. So good for him. Good for him. He's triggered. Okay, he has been triggered, so he is going to do what he do, and it's nice. Hate when people do that, just dropping horrible stuff to find out it's someone it's about. I know they're just trying to be helpful, but I know it's gonna. I don't know what you're saying. I can't really read. I'm tired. No, but I'm going to leave it like this. Questions for you. Questions for you. How are you related to the meth trafficking organization of Kokomo, Indiana? Who tapped you to come on the internet and talk about Delphi? Why is your internet history wiped clean? Why did you choose to go after the people that the Troll Farm and Rick Snay targeted? Did you break your wife's back? Literally. These are questions.
Only need good vibes, good vibes, good vibes, good vibes. Only need good vibes, good vibes, good vibes, good vibes. Only need good vibes. Can't lie. Good vibes, good vibes, good vibes, good vibes. Been waiting so patient, I'm going places, can't fake it. My heart is so cold, my energy is contagious. All the pain, I can't take it. I'm staying grounded and graceful, cause I know everything that I've been through only made me count my blessings daily. Yeah, they've been acting shady, but I don't take it personal. The memory's fading, I'm enjoying the moment. I've been smelling the roses, taking time to reflect, stepping back, the truth unfolding, unfolding. Stand low, got nothing to prove, cause I'm about to blow. I've been in the booth, speaking to my soul. You know that I'm true, either way it goes, way it goes, either way it goes. I cannot turn cold, staying on the low. I've been protecting my soul. If your intentions are not pure, I can't let you get too close, cause I'm vibrating high. Ain't got time for your ego, these niggas quit to turn me back. Acting like the amigos, he never cared in the shows. Wasn't with you at your lows, assuming that you gonna fold. But baby, I've been growing ever since I let you go. And I've been doing better, and I know that hurts to know. Hurts to know. Only good vibes around me, and that's for sure. Me good vibes, good vibes, good vibes, good vibes. Only need good vibes, good vibes, good vibes, good vibes. Only need good vibes. Can't lie. Only need good vibes, good vibes, good vibes, good vibes. You see me searching for my inner peace. I've been learning more about myself and my purpose. Truth always come to the surface. Was hurting, but I had to heal. Releasing all the pain that I always held. Been going through some changes, I'll make it still. Protecting my soul to keep it real. Only need good vibes, good vibes, good vibes, good vibes. Only need good vibes, good vibes, good vibes, good vibes. Only need good vibes. Can't lie. Only need good vibes, good vibes, good vibes, good vibes. Thank